Thank you very much for staying with us. Remember to use the SMS number 22422 hashtag Women in Leadership or hashtag #1on1. She started her career as a journalist in Kenya Broadcasting Corporation KBC, where she worked as a news anchor, reporter and host of Good Morning Kenya. During her time at KBC, she was quite dedicated to highlighting social issues in Kenya and promoting peace among warring pastoralist communities in northern Kenya, and this led her to being awarded Order of the Grand Warrior of Kenya for her work in peace promotion and journalism in the year 2010. After many years as a journalist at KBC, Naisula Lesuda is now a TNA nominated senator. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Lillian.
So from the newsroom to the Senate, and now all this attention, did your nomination to the Senate come as a surprise?
To me, almost yes. When I was asked whether I've ever thought about joining politics and being nominated by various people who had seen my work. I had also worked for my party, and them telling me that, you know, then there are the slots that you need to apply, because in TNA we're applying and feeling and everything. So it was somewhat a surprise that there were people who actually thought that I had some leadership qualities in me. And you know, sometimes you do a lot of things without knowing that there are people who are watching and thinking that you could do much more given a platform. Although later, when I look back and I think about it, it is something that I just love to do. And for me, politics is a platform where you lead, where you transform, where you engage with other people to make the society better. But you know, definitely how we normally look at politics, it's the other way around, seen as a very dirty game, seen as you know, something which not many people would want to go for. But for me, I just realized it's a continuation, really, of the things that I loved to do, and I continue to do them.
And the transition for you, the fact that you just said that somebody saw leadership qualities in you, the transition, like I said, from what you were doing before to now having to actually find a voice, sometimes in a male-dominated arena, you know, in the Senate, and the younger parliamentarians, particularly the females, sometimes, you know, in some circles called the flower girls there. So that transition and how you finally, if you were able to, found your voice. Okay, so the beauty, Lillian, is that I had interacted with politics in one way or the other when I was a journalist, because then, you know, whether interacting with the politicians, whether interacting with the communities, whether you know, when you go out and cover the stories. So in terms of even engaging with politicians and sometimes knowing how they think and even view some of these issues that you're talking about, I had interacted with it. But also, it's always, you can never be too ready, although it helped me a little bit now when I got there, to find my way very quickly in politics and in the Senate and all that. But you get some shockers and surprises. Like the first time when we were going for orientation, you know, when we were just nominated and also there were elected senators. And you know how it is normally, how you group yourselves, you know, so all the ladies were like together. It's like the first day in school. So those who know each other, you group yourselves together, although some of them had been on the campaign trail together. And there's one senator who's now a very good friend of mine, and he just walked in and he's like, and who are these people? As in, he asked us. He said, and who are you people? Who are you? You know? And then he said, and we have very little girls, you know, little girls, of course, who are smaller. They said, you little girls, what are you coming here to do in the Senate? And of course, the first thing is now you get intimidated, and you're wondering whether really you can get your space, and how they also view you. But I think it's a normal reaction, the first reaction. But with time, as you carry yourself, as you articulate on the issues, then respect, you know, just is earned. Although once in a while it is still thrown at you. There was a time also another one on the floor actually said that a few others have been added to a certain committee to just add color. Yeah, and how do you respond, how do you respond to those sexist statements?
And it's something that we continue to struggle with, and for me, I keep saying, of course, you know, we can argue about it. We can argue, of course we argue, and we get to the floor and say, please stop calling us this, please stop doing this. But you know, sometimes it is just keeping the focus and continuing to do what you do, because really those things will really distract you. They will put you down. You should just, and that's how I look at it. You say I add color, okay, maybe I'm bright and colorful, and you know,
but when I gorgeous hair.
But when I get there, then I get to do what I'm supposed to do.
Let's talk about your peace caravan and how that interest developed.
Lillian, when I was at KBC, and I have said this many times, I found myself doing a lot of stories from our areas, and one thing that I take pride with, because I was dedicated, is to open the space of the pastoral areas. It was the same way for a long time. People didn't even know. They didn't even know where Samburu, they don't even know where, there are Kenyans actually who don't know where Samburu is, who don't know where Turkana is, who don't know where Pokot is and all that. And I took keen interest. Most media houses, this one included, didn't have freelance reporters in those areas and things like that. And I convinced my bosses that we need to open up those areas. We need to have, and I scouted for one, actually paid his first salary with my own little salary of KBC.
How much was it at KBC?
No, to just make sure to see that he could. My boss told me, once I see that it's viable to actually have someone there, then we will hire somebody. And you know, after some time, it was so viable. You know why? Because there were so many stories coming from those areas. But now what made me sad is that, you know what makes stories? It is all the sad news. So we realized there's a lot of stories from that area, from hunger, from, you know, diseases. When it rains, it's floods. Then when it's dry, it's hunger, and all that. But one of the stories really caught my eye, and it was the story of conflict in those areas. And I was always very sad that every day there would be a story of young people dying because they've gone to kill each other. There are sad stories of children who are collateral damage, and young children, of mothers, and the most affected are actually women and children who take no part absolutely in the conflict, but are the most affected. And I used to finish reading news like you and cry my whole way home. And then it just happened to me that, Naisula, you can do something more than just highlighting. And so that's how the Peace Caravan was born. I looked for the leaders and with other professionals. I didn't do it alone, but I got to look out for professionals who are in the towns and the cities, and told them,
or
yes, but
from also warring communities.
Exactly, because it was difficult at first. Like, of course, even the Samburus, you know, you always want to side with your side of the community. But I told them, you're not fighting yourselves. You're fighting with another community. You're fighting with
the old men, the Morans, actually listen to you as Samburu ladies.
At first, they were a bit, like, what are you telling us? We've been in this business for the longest time ever. But then over time, and I think also having seen me in the media, so they actually think there was they could listen, you know, they could find it, I had a platform somewhat. But then now we got out and went to actually talk to the real actors, you know, to the warriors themselves. And I was a young girl then, and I used anything, you know, I used anything possible to talk to them. I'm your age mate. Why are you guys killing each other? Who's going to marry me when you finish killing each other? Who's going to marry me? You know, I used every little, you know, and all that. And what also we used as an approach is that sometimes cultural practices and those retrogressive, and I'm not making an excuse for them, maybe that's all that community knows. It's about stealing cows. So they just needed a voice of their children who have gone out there and realized that people are competing for bigger things, and now coming back and talking to them.
Let's talk about how you being a Samburu, of course, and sharing that experience. This is something that comes from a very personal place for you, because these are your people. As a Samburu lady that is currently a leader, how has your position benefited the Samburu woman and the girl child?
Okay, so and from that time now is when I was directly involved. Slowly I exited from the media and to continue working with the community from 2006-7 throughout on the peace issues. But as we continue with that, I also realized that the women and the girls continue to face a lot of challenges, a lot of them actually. If it is about healthcare, if it's about water, it's about, but for me most importantly was just the space of that young girl, you know. And one of the key things for me was education. Education resolves all these things, all the things that we talk about. Because once you educate, the sky can only be the limit for anyone, you know, with that opportunity. And there are many young girls from our communities who were still not accessing education for various reasons. And I am known that after peace, my next big cause, and since I was nominated, has been education. And it's education in totality. Making sure where I can, through friends and my own salary, and what I can get through my foundation, Naisula Lesuda Peace Foundation, is to ensure I get as many children. I do both girls and boys, because also once you leave a boy,
the boy child has been neglected.
But I always take for every one boy, I take 2 or 3 girls to school. Simple things like sanitary towels to make sure that they access them. Simple things like just being there to motivate. They call me big sister Naisula. I tell them, I'm your big sister, because they just need that inspiration that they can actually make it. So for me, that is the key thing. And I work also to see how we can reach out to the women in our areas. I'm very key on issues to do with their health. I've done several medical camps, just so that, because they have several challenges, not knowing. You know, some of us who now know, you think just going for a pap smear, going for those things, we take it for granted. Well, we know that many of our rural women do not have this information.
So those are some of the things you're doing. Okay, so the general elections are next year. What are your political plans?
Okay, so the same way that I said, people saw certain qualities, and since I was nominated, I have continued to work especially with the community, and not just my community, but across the country, because I'm a nominated senator, and I'm not just entitled to work only in my county, across the country. But in my county, so you know, you get all these voices that we think, you know, you're doing good. You know, who said you're going to be nominated again? What do you want to? Who would like you to come and lead? Would like you to come and be our leader? And I was told severally, you know, and I looked at my options and I prayed about it. I'm prayerful as well, and I soul searched and everything, and I'm going to go and having consulted advice and everything from everyone else that I value, I'm going for Member of Parliament for Samburu West. Okay, first time a woman is actually going for any seat perceived to be male. I think with the support that I continue to have, and especially of the young people, and I keep telling them, you know, many people assume also that you're nominated, you didn't work for it, so why are you coming to, you know, you didn't work for it. Personally, I believe in my contribution to this country. I worked for it. Okay, and so I believe with the support and everything else, despite all the stereotypes that women should not go for various seats and all those manner of things, I will go for that seat. Member of Parliament, Samburu West. Those are your 2017 political plans. But I want to ask you about the trend with nominated parliamentarians wanting to vie for bigger positions. Case in point, Johnson Sakaja, who was here yesterday. What is this about? Is this coming from perhaps the fear of the unknown, now that you are used to this? Actually, that is even more unknown, because what we're going for is actually even more unknown, because you know, elections go either way. But I think what has happened, and even in the caliber of those who have been nominated this time, when you look at them, when we have a huge number of young people, we're 47 of us, and I mean, really, there is nothing that should bog you down, you know, or say that this seat is big for me, that this is an uncharted path and all that. If you've really soul searched and you have and you have really thought about it and everything, then you should just go for what you really believe in. And secondly, Lillian, the reason why these affirmative seats are there also is to prepare us. You know, if I didn't have, even if I was never nominated, probably I would have gone for a seat. But it's not as easy as we should now go further, and probably others to also grow, and we nurture others to come up. Yeah.
And your story inspires young budding politicians to give politics a try. And so, because let's talk about the appeal for persons who might be interested in leadership and politics per se. For them, the allure of that. For some of them, it's about the popularity. For some of them, it's about the glamour. For some of them, it's just because they're thinking. I mean, yes, you do have bodyguards. You drive big cars. So for the younger persons, perhaps they may be misdirected in their intentions and why it is they want. We know a couple have expressed their interest and, you know, have been all over Instagram, sort of, you know, just making this look like it's a fun thing to do. So for you, what would be your words of advice to them? What does what do young people need to consider when they're vying for this position?
Okay. What I would say, and I would use my own experience. For me, really, and I think it should be to every other young person, is that when you're getting out there to seek for election, please just think of what really you would want to do, you know, to change certain things. What do you stand for, and what do you want to see and to change? Because all these other things, if it's not what you really want, they come and go. You know, we've seen politicians, they've served this country for a long time. Ultimately, you exit at some point. But what would you want to do to others, your service to others? If really that is not your motivation to going to leadership and to politics, then I think one would be misguided.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you want your legacy to be, Naisula? You've been in this now for, well, I would say even before you were nominated as a senator, you've been serving the people of this country, and particularly the Samburu people. What do you want your legacy to be?
My legacy, one I would continue to say, is to see a peaceful country. Because really, when we don't have peace in our country, if we cannot be one people, then everything else that we aspire and we work for is futile. It's nothing. And sometimes it really breaks my heart when I see, and especially young people, you know, it's like sometimes we joke, we don't know what we are playing with, you know, with our country and the peace that we have, because I've been to other countries as well, and even in my work, and seen the pain and everything that, you know, when we pit, you know, tribal things against each other. And I keep saying that if today you were born in another community and you were raised in that community and all, that becomes your community, that becomes you. And in high school, when we were younger, we were all each other's keepers, we were friends and everything, and then now all of a sudden we can differ in opinion in which party you support. I support my President Uhuru Kenyatta, you can support whoever you want to support, but really let us remember to keep our country safe. So my legacy would be to continue to work tirelessly amongst all communities, and even to continue to talk to others the importance of having a peaceful nation. We can struggle with everything else, our problems, anything else that we have as a country, but we should look up to that. And secondly, for me, definitely is to ensure that we have an equal playing field for both genders, and most importantly, that girls can have equal access to information, to education, to everything, and they can be as anything as they also want to be.
Similar to you, who is going for Samburu West MP, the first woman ever to go for that particular position. Okay, and as we wind up, as we close, has life changed? Do you still do the same fun things you used to do before? You're significantly young. Do you still keep the same friends? Have you lost some friends? How has life changed?
Okay, definitely it has changed in a number of things. trust me, there are things I really would love to continue to do. Although initially when I got in, I really boxed myself and said, you know, and tried to live as, you know, perception, what everybody else would want to do. But over time, I relaxed, you know, and my friends were so happy to have me back and say, you know, we can still meet and have a good time and all that. But of course, I spend most of my time out there in different counties doing different things, so I don't have as much time to do the things I love, and most importantly even for my family and everything. But I guess those are the sacrifices that we have to do. Of course there's the bodyguard and everything else, but trust me, like I still love to just be me, you know, and just continue being me.
Somebody here is asking, this is a lady, what's the secret to the good hair? Is it a Samburu thing? This is her hair, by the way.
Thank you, Lillian. Thanks to God and my parents. I do, and
not lots of milk. Not lots of milk growing up.
Yeah, maybe some research needs to be done.
Yes. Okay, we wish you the very best. We've been talking to Naisula Lesuda, nominated senator, and now declaring that she will be running for the Samburu West Member of Parliament coming next year. We wish you all the best. Thanks for joining us on Women in Leadership. We're taking a short break now. We'll be back with all the day's sports. Don't go away.